David Ornstein never tweeted about Morgan Rogers. He never tweeted about Morgan Rogers directly. He tweeted about Solis and then said won't affect main targets like Morgan Rogers. But there was never anything about a concrete Arsenal exploring this deal. Arsenal are in talks. Arsenal. He never said that about Morgan Rogers. It might have been weaved into an article. It might have been a little bit of extra to another report. Now, why does that matter? Look, he's linked us to Rafinha in a direct tweet, Pedro Neto in a direct tweet, and we didn't sign those players. So it's not like David Ornstein only speaks when we're definitely signing the player. But there is definitely a trend that he kind of only reports on it when he thinks there's actually something to this. And that should have been the moment that everyone took Arsenal seriously. And people still were in denial about it. Oh, they can't afford it. They won't do it. This is just all for a contract, which I thought was nonsense. And I've debated that since. So I get your optimism. And I think there is a compelling package for Vini there. But I do lean towards he'll stay with Real Madrid because I think Real Madrid won't want to be seen to be losing. Basically, let me put it this way. I think there's more chance they keep Vini and don't sign Rodri and pick him up on a free next summer. I think there's more chance of that than there is them there's more chance of that than there is them signing Rodri and selling Vinicius, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. But the fact that I'm going 55-45 one way and the fact that you're going 55-45 the other means it's the kind of transfer window that we wanted for a very, very long time, right? One thing you want, you know what? I know this is going to sound a bit mad, but you want transfer windows that are quite exciting in the right way. And this is exciting in the right way because ultimately no one knows. There are so many people on X tweeting updates that are just full of nonsense, right? They're engagement farming. And in fact, some people were leveling the engagement farming accusation at Sky Sports today by putting out that message with that headline.
Shall we talk about that report? Sorry, I don't mean to cut you. Sorry,
no.
But I think so. This is what I found so striking about that report was it wasn't just a tweet. You know, like an aggregator picked it up from a transfer show and it did the rounds. It came through as a notification from Sky Sports. My phone had a notification being like, you know, Arsenal target Vinicius Jr. will be staying at Real Madrid next season. To which I thought, okay, that's pretty locked in. I was waiting for Ornstein, Fabrizio Romano, who hasn't talked on this deal at all, and every other journalist to pick it up and roll with it like, all right, yeah, they've got it first, and that's all coming through. Not even Talk Sport. But no one did. Like, nobody came through with anything else. It's like every other... No journalist acknowledged it. It's like every other journalist looked at it and went... But because you're right, it was a complete nothing burger. Now, people have theorised online since that Gary Cottrell is close to Mourinho in some way, has got some exclusives with him or whatever, and therefore this might have come from Mourinho's camp that they fundamentally don't want to sell him, and therefore he's put the message to them, they're not going to let him go, Mourinho won't let it happen, and Sky Sports have run with that. Now, I believe Sky Sports to be much more sourced than that, research, whatever, and they might just be ahead of everyone else. Very possible. People are going, Sky Sports, they're rubbish. They're not rubbish. Come on, they were one of the first in this transfer game. So they're not rubbish, but it did stagger me that no one else had followed up with it. Now, we're going to talk about Bruno Guimaraes later, because I don't want to be a hypocrite. TalkSport also ran the story today. Advanced talks for Bruno Guimaraes, £75 million deal. It's getting close. And again, nobody followed it. So there's something really strange in this market where loads of journalists seem to be picking up moments here and there, and everyone is denying things or having different stories. It doesn't feel like people are unanimously kind of peddling the same story. Even Samuel Luckhurst, who I think does more Man United content, said he did an article saying Real Madrid are prepared to let Vinicius Jr. run down his contract. And it's like, that is quite literally what the best transfer journalist didn't just put in his article, put in his tweet at the very forth. Like, this is important information. So what's going on? So sorry for that rant, but I saw it too. And when I read that, basically the basis for it was they want to tie him to a new deal. They're going to offer him a new one. They're confident he'll sign it. He ideally wants to stay. Well, we knew all that. Like, no Arsenal fans under the delusion that he really wants to join us and he's tempted by Madrid, but that's what stands in his way of joining Arsenal. We know he wants to stay, but we are positioning ourselves in case that's not an option for him.
And that's the best we can do. That's the best we can do in that position. If you combine what Ornstein says about they don't want to let him go for a free, that was him, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
And that is taken with the Sky Sports stuff today, saying that look, they really don't want to sell. What option do they have? If both are true, right? If both are true, they don't want to sell, but they don't want to let him go on a free. I don't want to read any more stories about Real Madrid's position, in all honesty, because Real Madrid's position has been adequately ventilated by all of these journalists. It's now about what's going through Vinicius Jr.'s mind. And the reality of that situation is he is not, at this stage anyway, briefing any journalist the same way that clubs might be, or letting insiders know anything the same way that clubs might be. He seems to be keeping his cards very close to his chest for a number of reasons. Whether he's trying to renegotiate a deal with Real Madrid, he will want them to think that the possibility of him going to Arsenal is credible. And from the bits that I was reading today with this supposed package that we put together for Vinicius, it ought to be considered credible, because it seems as though we've come correct with that one. But he also wouldn't want Arsenal to simply know that it's a foregone conclusion that he will be staying at Real Madrid if that's what he thinks either, because it would preclude them from maybe going above and beyond to make an offer that he can't refuse. So it is very much up to the player. This is what a lot of people don't understand. I mean, I understand that 10 or 15 years ago, if a club said they weren't selling and there was a contractual obligation, more often than not, the club didn't sell. Player power is at a stage now that I've never seen it in my lifetime. That's not just a football thing, but we're discussing football. Player power is huge for players that are actually of much lesser international profiles than Vini as well. You see it at a number of clubs. But this is a guy that is an international superstar. This is a guy that is not just a footballer, but a brand. So he's in a very, very good position at the moment. In fact, a lot of people would think the other way and then go, well, he's not actually getting the offer that he wants from Madrid. How can you say he's in a good position? Well, actually, if it's true that Madrid want to keep him, if it's true that we want to entice him, he's in the best position of any footballer in the market right now.